Very good evening. So, we are meeting again for a very interesting course titled Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. We are all set. Before we begin with our session today, let's try to wrap up. I mean, what we have done so far and how we have been proceeding in this particular course up till now. So, the course is Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. Today we are here at the week 10th of the course content. I presume many of you would be knowing that it's a 12-week course. So it's pretty long course. It's the course which is of the maximum duration. So in NPTEL, we have courses ranging from 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. And we are in the last or the final leg of the sessions. So we have reached the session with double figures, or the double digits, which I say. So we are at 10, the 10th session for this particular course. So after that, we'll be having two more sessions, which will be scheduled on the same day. And as far as I know, I remember that we already conveyed that we'll be scheduling one more extra session. Uh, which will be conducting right before your examination. So that's the aim that आपके फाइनल एग्जाम से पहले हम एक सेशन और कंडक्ट करेंगे so that it gives you a brief understanding about what the examination can be about. How do you prepare for your examination? Because many of you might be doing it for the very first time, and for some of you, it might be your second course or third course for that matter, right? So it depends on whether you have attempted or taken up NPTEL course earlier or not, and let's try this session in this form. Seriously, what about this? Hey. All right. So, having said that, we have been managed to sail through a lot of journey as of now. So, as I mentioned, we are in the last leg. So, we've already completed, discussing the week 9 lectures. And here we are at the week 10th of this particular session. And earlier I was referring to the extra session which we plan to conduct. We have requested the NPTEL to schedule one more extra session, basically for 1 hour. And the idea is to uh, share certain inputs so that it helps you if you are appearing for the examination for the very first time, right? So many times it happens that since many people are in their long professional journey, we forget about the experiences of our class 10th and 12th examinations, wherein you need to take your admit card, ID card, and all those things. So that's where the session will help you and kind of prepping yourself to take up a physical examination in a certain sense. And at the same time, I think for the students, it will also be helpful in terms of, being prepared, what to carry, how to, address, and, what are the do's and don'ts. So I think all that we'll be covering in the last session, which will be an extra session, a 1 hour session. And having said that, I think additionally we'll also be discussing set of 10 questions. Now, these 10 questions will be from the overall course structure. तो हमने जितना भी कोर्स अभी पढ़ा है from week 10 till week 12, that will be more like a summarized view and capturing certain questions from each of the week's content so that we have an overview questionnaire with us. So, like we have been telling that every week there are set of 10 questions, and so till 12 weeks we'll be having an extra set of 240 questions, and if you add the extra session, it will be around 250. Right? So that is a good deal of questions with us, and apart from that, you have weekly assignments. So again, you have around 240 questions there. So we have a uh, quite a decent question bank ready with us in a certain sense, right? So I think that's will be a good resource collection for the students to prepare themselves and to prepare for the examination, right? So just take a minute and probably we'll start the session. So we finally begin our journey. Let me share my screen and starting this session today. All right. So here we are. Uh, as I mentioned, we are capturing and we have progressed till our 10th session pertaining to the 10th week's content. The coach name is obviously everyone is aware of. And my name is Abhishek. Let me talk briefly about myself. So I am an architect and industrial designer from School of Planning and Architecture in Delhi. And And after doing my post graduation, I joined a few companies as a user interface designer. So I worked at Infosys, I worked at Think Design, and after that, I started my own company. So I was a director at a startup, and I worked there for around 2.5 and 3 years. And slowly I transitioned into being a teacher. So I was teaching at various design institutions, including SPA Delhi, and you have UP Institute of Design, World University of Design. So these are different colleges where I was, teaching. And after that, I realized that I need to pursue higher studies, wherein which I started my PhD journey at the Department of Design IT Roorkee. And uh, after so right now I'm in my third year of the PhD journey, and so I'm also a recipient of a fellowship from the Ministry of Education, wherein which we have to take certain sessions. is a part of TA-ship, which is basically outside institute, and that's where the NPTEL comes in. So basically, there are many courses which are being floated in NPTEL, and in all these courses, there is always a provision of problem-solving sessions, and that's where we as a Prime Minister's Research Fellows fit in. So we basically give our time. We try to address the questions of the learners who are basically a part of this course, and that's it. And so let's start with our protocol slides. I've already explained that in each of the session we initiate the presentation with a set of protocol slides. Uh, the idea remains that if there is a learner who is joining for the very first time, he or she should be able to uh, assess and absorb the same contents so that the information absorbed is uniform. Right. So these are a set of certain slides which I repeat in each and every session, and these basically includes lot many aspects. This includes the intro part, the marking criteria part, the information regarding certification, and then you have typology of questions. Okay, so basically, we try to cover these aspects in the protocol slides. We repeat it so that everything is absorbed well within the participants, and there is no scope of any doubt on these particular, contents. Now, because marking criteria is something that we need to be aware of, because it also helps in making very informed decisions in certain cases. Like what you mentioned here is that. See, trying to see the visibility of the colors, and if these are pretty much there is certain issue of green. This is better. So continue with our slideshow. And I think I did not share my screen. So that's So here we are, and yes. Okay. We aim to discuss and solve week specific assignments. So, week specific means that every week we take up that particular week's content. So, here in our case, we are referring to the week 10. We are referring to the week 10 content. And what we do is we typically discuss a new set of 10 questions. And the set of 10 questions are are other than the live assignment, right? So every week you must be aware that there is a live assignment, and it also includes set of 10 questions. However, what we do is we typically utilize the same content, so which is the week specific content, same content of the ongoing week, right? सो कंटेंट हमारा सेम रहता है, बट सेट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस जो हमारे होते हैं वो थोड़े अलग होते हैं, वो भिन्न होते हैं, because the live assignment questions are there to assess you. It's basically to evaluate your performance. Baburi, are you there? May I request you to please mute yourself? एक्चुअली थोड़ा डिस्टरबेंस हो रहा था. इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस और ए क्वेरी, आप अनम्यूट करके बोल सकते हैं. ऑलराइट. Also, what we do is we try to respond to the queries and questions raised by the learners. So the questions may be related to NPTEL, it may be related to examination, it may be related to a certain question pertaining to that week's content. So all those doubts and all those things get cleared, and clarity is brought in all those dimensions. What we also do is we try to do a content recap of the ongoing week. Now, that is something which I have recently started adding because it aids you in overview. So it helps you do a very quick journey of that week's content. And that journey is basically a visual journey. Okay. When I say visual journey, what I mean is that it basically is a snapshot journey which we do, which covers glimpses, from the video lectures, and we do it in a very quick slideshow format so that we are able to see what all things have been covered in that particular week's content. Okay. So the idea remains that we can give maximum benefit to our learners, even if you are attending the session for the very first time. आगे बढ़ते हैं. So there are certain ethics we expect the learners to follow, and the first one of them being that we expect everybody to keep your mic on mute. The reason being that all these sessions are getting recorded. हाँ? तो ये सारे सेशन आपके रिकॉर्ड हो रहे हैं, and it will be uploaded on YouTube. Okay, so that is why we don't want any unnecessary noise and disturbances, because it will impact the quality of videos. And that is where we request everybody to keep your mic on mute. However, you can unmute and speak if you have any questions. So अगर कोई doubts हैं, questions हैं, you are free to do it. आप हाथ रेज कर सकते हैं, you can raise your hand, you can type it on the chat box, है ना, वैसे भी हम कर सकते हैं. Or while you are responding to a questions. So when we have set of 10 questions, then also you can do it. There is another additional functionality by the NPTEL platform, which is the discussion forum. Okay. Now, you must have seen this particular tab, which is ask the question, and that's where this functionality lies in. Why it is interesting is because the moment you post a question over here, the question gets uploaded on the discussion forum. And basically, in this discussion forum, we have the NPTEL learners, all the learners who are registered on this particular course. We have the team members from the NPTEL team, and then you have me as your TA. Right? So the moment a question is posted, we all get alerts, and it's easier even for me because the moment I reply to a question, everybody, all the type of stakeholders, they get a response. So it's a very transparent and very uh, efficient way of addressing doubts. So I would suggest that please utilize this functionality, and it will help you in enhanced learning of this course. So remember, I briefly mentioned about recording, and all these sessions are being recorded, and these get uploaded on my YouTube channel. The idea is that many a times whosoever is enrolled now, the learners include people from different ages, professions, right? So when I say different ages, there could be a student who is pursuing his UG or PG program, and for that matter, even PhD. So there is a varied age group in that. And then in professions, we have people, working in institutions, they're doing jobs as IT guys, or they are in academics as educators. So we have a very variety of audience and a very diverse audience, which is there. And these diverse audience may have, engagements, official or academic engagements. And that's where the idea is that, we record all these sessions and we upload it on YouTube so that, once and for all it is available. And based on the luxury of time, the learner can actually have a look at it. Right. तो अपने समय की सहूलियत के साथ जो लर्नर्स हैं वो ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं यूट्यूब चैनल पे. एंड इवन द इंटायर पीपीटी डेक which we are seeing right now, all this annotated files are converted into PDFs, and these are uploaded on Google Drive. So anybody, and it has a setting that anybody with the link can view. So these links are provided in this particular link. So when you click on problem solving session, it basically leads you to another page which says click here, which again leads to another page which is basically a spreadsheet. All right. So it's a long spreadsheet, and it has basically week-wise content. So for week 1, week 2, week 3, you'll have those things. So you'll be having individual YouTube links for them. However, the PDFs will be put up on a common drive folder. So this particular cell will be more like a merged cell with the link of Google Drive. So wherein you can access all the PDFs. So if you do it now, you will be having all the PDFs ranging from week 1 to week 9, right? So that is available there. All right. So the course name is Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. The course instructor is Professor V.K. Chakravarti sir, who is from the IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay, and he is currently, helping out Mahindra University in setting up a design institute there, design department, and he also has taken a big role at the IC, which is the Design Innovation Center, which is again at IIT Bombay, and he is heading that, and he has done some great works in this particular DIC. So that's also there. So overall course run was 12 weeks time. And as I mentioned that, we are currently referring to the week 10 content, right? And the deadline for week 10 is 2nd of October, which is tomorrow. So if you have not been able to submit the assignment, please do it today or by tomorrow because tomorrow is the deadline of it. And as of now, the final examination date is 26th of October, and either you'll be allotted the pre-lunch slot or the post-lunch slot, right? Now, again, the examination will be conducted in physical mode, which means that you'll be visiting a center and the venue will be provided in your hall ticket. The hall ticket will be released in due course. You'll be able to see the notification in the announcement section. And probably you'll also receive an email when you fetch the admit card details, right? So वो चीजें हैं if you have been registered in time, वो चीजें अपने आप आपके email ID पे आ जाएगी, so you don't have to worry on that particular aspect. Let's proceed further. So this is how your NPTEL platform page look when you click on the progress tab. So progress is basically to show you how you have been progressing in this particular course. It's basically a marker of how well you have been able to absorb the content, understand the content, right? Right. So uh, the moment you start clicking on week's content and you go through the entire week's content, these basically percentages are reflected. Uh, and you also get to see the marks of your attempted assignments, which means that up till now, you will be able to see the marks till week 8 assignments और probably week 9 तक क्योंकि हमारा 10th जो है वो ड्यू है तो आपको week 9 assignment तक if you have been there in the course you have been able to see the marks till that. Also, the course is completely free to learn and enroll from because the idea is that the knowledge can be gained from this particular course. However, if you want to earn a certificate, you will have to register for the examination, and that fee is around 1,000 rupees. The last date has already gone past. It was October 23rd, and I believe all those who are doing it from an academic perspective or academic requirement. Probably would have already registered for the examination and you must have been gearing up for the final exam. क्योंकि फाइनल एग्जाम इसी महीने होना है, इट्स द अक्टूबर 26th, and we have started our journey in October. So I believe preparing for the examination will be a right time if you see the rates which are not far from today. Coming on to the criteria to get a certificate, I devote a decent time to this particular section because it is something which is critical to all the learners. Mhm. So we have two components, and the summation of two components leads to your overall marks, right? So the internals is basically your week-wise assignments. So every week you have one assignment. So in total you have 12 assignments. And the good thing is that the best eight are considered while deriving the weightage of 25%, right? And the remaining 75% is for your physical exam. And if you add both of them, these leads to your overall percentage, right? Now, there's a very interesting, criteria in it, and I think that is something that is very much to be aware of. So, in the internals, your marks needs to be greater than 10 out of 25. In the externals, it needs to be more than 30 out of 75, so that in total, it's more than 40 out of 100, right? Now, there could be a possible scenario. For example, you score 20 out of 25 in your internals. However, you score 25 out of 75 in your external. So your overall score is 45 out of 100. So you meet this criteria, but you fail on this criteria. So no certificate will be awarded. Let's take another scenario. You score 5 out of 25, but you score 55 out of 75. Your overall score is 60. You fulfill this criteria, you fulfill this criteria, but you will not started. So no certificate, right? So what you need to be aware of is that you try to address this criteria, this so that this is automatically taken care of. And the best way to do is that you take your internals, to give emphasis as well as your extra. अगर हम उन दोनों को ही प्रॉपर वैल्यू और टाइम देंगे तो I think it will be easy to score this many marks. Coming to a brief content review, we started from week one. Our journey has till then transitioned from understanding why startups fail to the challenges of the startup, how to innovate and team building, to various case studies and various programs which are being offered by ID Bombay in terms of helping out these startups, and then certain success stories followed by human-centered innovation, which is one of the critical factors for each and every startup, to humanizing technology, and then followed by the business model approach, which is the lean model canvas, along with a few success stories. And here we are reaching towards week 9 and 10, wherein, in previous content, we saw, the role played by ITIC and CFHE, which was Center for Healthcare and Entrepreneurship. And finally, we have arrived to week 10, which is from corporate to entrepreneurship, creative ideation, building POC, which is basically the concept, and then network entrepreneurship, which basically is given by Professor Anil Gupta. Yeah. And then there is ALM, which is basically the Machine learning material. Here, it's a material with respect to the test about a teapot. Okay, so there are two typology of questions which you will encounter in these NPTEL assignments. One is wherein you have single correct answer, and the other one which has multiple correct answers. So, which means, the best way to recall and remember is that the single correct answers would be in circular shape, the multiple correct answers would be in square shape, right? So, I can select only one of them. However, here I can select two more or probably all of them, right? So, that is the flexibility which I get in these particular questions. Okay. Now comes the very interesting and critical part. Yet again, one of the more important slides, which is regarding the marking of multiple choice questions. Right. Now, let me take an example, and I'll be able to convey the points in all these three pointers in a much more easier way. Right. So give me a minute, and I will be able to take up a very interesting question. All right. So, say for example, the question says which three features of our product most providing you content. Okay. It's, for example, there is a course content, and the course content says that the correct answer for this particular questions, let's mark them is ease of content, functionality, and aesthetics. Okay, the question is which three products of our product most valuable according to the video content? Say, for example, the answers are ease of use, functionality, aesthetics. These are the three correct responses. Okay. Now let's try and understand all these three scenarios which we are referring to. Scenario one. So you select A, you select B, you select C, you submit, you get full marks. Okay, it's a very clear cut scenario. इसमें कोई challenge नहीं है. आप सारे सही जवाब चुनेंगे और आपको full marks मिल जाएगा. Let's take scenario two. If at least one incorrect answer has been chosen, then no marks. So you select A, B, and D. You select B, C, and D. You select A and D. So since D is the incorrect answer and you're choosing it, there will be no marks. सो नो मार्क्स आर अवेलेबल। ठीक है, क्योंकि आपने एक गलत जो ऑप्शन है वो चुना हुआ है। लेट्स टेक सिनेरियो 3। If only correct answers are chosen, but not all correct answers have been chosen, then partial marks proportional to the number of correct answers chosen are awarded. So, which means if I select A, B and submit, or if I select A and submit, or if I select B, C and submit, in all these scenario, I'll be getting certain proportionate marks. Right? And that's where the marks in decimal will be given. So you might get 0.66, you might get 0.33, depending upon the number of options which you have chosen. But since you have not chosen D, so you will be getting certain marks, which is proportionate to the number of options. Right. So this basically clarity comes from the NPTEL team, which has been conveyed that this is how the internal marking, the weekly assessment marking are done. All right. So these are the top GMAT learners. So I think let's try to rectify it. It is basically week 9. Wait, so let's make the changes because it's recorded and we don't want to be ambiguity in that. So these have been the top learners who were there in the previous week. So I appreciate their presence and I hope they will be available in more times to come. All right. From here, we start our set of 10 questions. The question is, as discussed in module 9, 3F designs have wide range of. 3F was a company which Professor Ashok mentioned about. After his stint at Philips, he started his own 3F designs, which had wide range of what? So was it electrical appliances? Was it unusual quirky products? Was it automotive designs or was it computer accessories? So I would suggest that take some time to think about the question and we'll get back and understand what is the correct answer. Okay, so since there is some power related issue, what I would do is I'll just try to uh, turn off my camera and keep the mic available. Then we can continue the step. ठीक है, सो आप थोड़ा सोचिए इस बारे में, इस क्वेश्चन को समझिए. Recall the content which you have already seen and try to tell the correct answer. वेरी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन, बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है. आपको रिकॉल करना है कि व्हाट हैज बीन टॉप इन द वीक्स कंटेंट. We are here trying to address the question from the module 10, which is pertaining to 3F designs, जो कि एक स्टार्टअप है प्रोफेसर अशोक का। आपको बताना है कि जो 3F का जो स्टार्टअप था प्रोफेसर अशोक का, जिन्होंने काफी समय फिलिप्स पे काम किया, काफी समय अपने ओन स्टार्टअप पे भी काम किया, एंड ही केम अप विद द आइडिया ऑफ 3F डिजाइन which was around fun. And he made very interesting fun products. You have to tell what is the range of products they had in terms of offerings. So थोड़ा सोचिए इस पे. It's one of the direct questions, but if you think over it, you'll be able to easily address it. So take a minute. So I think we have taken up sufficient time. Basically, the question was जो 3F design है प्रोफेसर अशोक का, जिन्होंने एक स्टार्टअप शुरू किया था. It had wide range of certain typology of products. Okay, certain. तो वो क्या प्रोडक्ट्स थे? ऑप्शंस है, वो क्या इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लायंसेस थे, क्या वो क्वर्की प्रोडक्ट्स थे, क्या वो ऑटोमोटिव डिजाइन्स थे, या फिर कंप्यूटर एक्सेसरीज था. राइट. सो दीज वर द ऑप्शंस गिवन. And if you see the correct answer, it is wide range of unusual, quirky products. So if you see the kind of products they are having, there is a giant wheel, turnaround wheel, and then wherever it will stop. You know. So these were the examples given by Professor Ashok. Right. So what we can also do is we can just quickly shift our gears and try to see if the the company still exists or not, right? So I think they have have certain images here. So that's there. Yeah. So if you see, this is what we are talking about. This was the store which he was referring to. It's a very interesting range of products. Let's get back to our session now. Yeah. So the correct answer for this particular question is unusual. The option B, right? Should be the correct answer. आगे बढ़ते हैं. What is the honeybee network and what does it do? Okay, we are asking the question on the honeybee network and what does it do? The options are a network of beekeepers who share the best practices, a platform that connects entrepreneurs with investors only, a magazine that publishes articles about innovation, an ecosystem that helps grassroots innovators and bring their ideas to reality. Okay, तो आपके पास चार ऑप्शंस हैं और हमें बताना है कि हनी बी नेटवर्क करता क्या है. क्या वो बी कीपिंग से रिलेटेड है? विच इज द फर्स्ट ऑप्शन. या फिर ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को कनेक्ट करता है विद इन्वेस्टर्स. या फिर वो एक मैगजीन है दैट पब्लिशेस आर्टिकल्स अबाउट इनोवेशन. या फिर ये एक इकोसिस्टम है दैट हेल्प्स ग्रासरूट इनोवेटर्स ब्रिंग देयर आइडियाज टू रियलिटी. सो यू हैव फोर ऑप्शंस और आपको बताना है कि इनमें से व्हाट इज द करेक्ट आंसर, राइट? हनी बी नेटवर्क की बात हो रही है. Think for a while and we'll try to address this particular question with a screen validation. प्रश्न है हनीबी नेटवर्क से रिलेटेड और व्हाट डज इट डू, उसका रोल क्या है, वो करता क्या है, दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच वी आर ट्राइंग टू एड्रेस. Thank you. And it is associated with Professor Anil Gupta. Okay, let's do the screen validation. So if you see, these are the different organizations which Professor Anil Gupta was associated to. It starts with Honeybee Network, then you have Srishti, you have Gyan, and you have National Innovation Foundation. And all these are contributing to a grassroots innovation movement, right? Yeah. So, although all of them are contributing to it, but if you see the question around Honeybee Network, I think that's what they are trying to help in providing hand holding and recognizing the grassroots innovation, which they do by various means. So they also have something called as Shodhayatra, which is a journey on foot, which they do to identify these innovations. So the correct answer to this questions is an ecosystem that helps grassroots innovators bring their ideas to reality. Right. So, although ये हनी बी नेटवर्क अभी जो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है इसमें, but if you see the correct answers, I mean, all these, whether it is Srishti or Gyan or Innovation Foundation, and all them are basically contributing to grassroots innovation. So basically, if this gets replaced by any other option, Gyan or Srishti, I think the answer very much remains the same. So, the question can be modeled in different ways, right? तो आपको वो चीज इंश्योर करना है कि योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग remains consistent, and even if it is about Srishti Gyan or NIF, you know which one to mark as the correct option. Okay, so it's nowhere related to beekeeping. It is not about matchmaking between this or this, and it's not about the magazine that publishes innovation. It's not about it. It is basically about an ecosystem जो हैंडल करे, जो मदद करे ग्रास रूट इनोवेटर्स की, ताकि वो अपने आइडियाज को रियलिटी में बदल पाए. Alright, let's come to our third question. According to Professor Ashok Panvalkar, जिन्होंने हमने 3F डिजाइन्स की भी हम जो बात कर रहे थे, dash is the ability of children to pressurize their parents into buying them products. Okay. तो कौन सी एबिलिटी होती है जो चिल्ड्रन यूज करते हैं टू प्रेशराइज देयर पेरेंट्स into buying them products? Is it the emotional power? Is it the superpower, pistol power, or pressurizing power? Okay. So again, take a while to think about it. Professor Ashok talked about this, when we were referring to the study on school bags by one of the IIT Hyderabad student. तो वो क्या है? ठीक है, थोड़ा सोचिए विचारिए और विल गेट बैक टू द करेक्ट आंसर। इट्स कोई डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन। ये हम लोग जब स्कूल बैग वाले प्रोजेक्ट की बात कर रहे थे, तब हमने देखा था कि प्रोफेसर अशोक ने इस बात पे रेफर किया था, उनको क्लैरिटी दी थी कि क्या हम बच्चे जो है वो ऐसे कौन सा कवर यूज करते हैं। Let's take a look at the content recap, and you will realize it is the pester power, which is basically the ability to pressurize their parents into buying them products, especially items advertised in the media. Okay, so I think it's a very direct answer to the question. It is the pester power. So the correct answer of this question is C, pester power. Ability of children to pressurize their parents into buying them products. अगर आप और specific देखें, it is basically especially the items advertised in the media. Okay, so this thing is also equally important and it can also make important question out of it. Okay, let's come to our fourth question. As mentioned by Professor Kumaresan, design never dash, it keeps on dash. So the options given to you are design never ends, it keeps on evolving. Design never starts, it keeps on changing. Design never is meaningful, it keeps on meaningless, and design never evolves, and it keeps on challenging. तो ये चार ऑप्शन है आपके पास. You have to figure out what is the correct answer. Again, take some time, absorb the question, try to find out the right answer, and we'll get back with the screen validation. Think about it. It's again not that tricky question, but then it can actually could be addressed in a very logical way as well. Design never dash, it keeps on dash. So whether it should be ending or whether it should be starting or around the meaningless and meaningfulness. Let's go to the screen validation. It says design never ends, it keeps on evolving, right? So डिजाइन कभी भी खत्म नहीं होता, वो हमेशा इवॉल्व होता रहता है. So the example which he gave was from the iMac, how it started with a bulkier form and then it gradually transitioned into sleek finishes and eventually with a much more slimmer output altogether, right? So what he said that this could be pit stops, right? But it doesn't end. It's not the ends. It basically pit stops and it keeps on evolving, right? So the correct answer is design never ends. It keeps on evolving. ठीक है. सो डिजाइन कभी भी खत्म नहीं होता, उसका स्वरूप बदलता रहता है, वो इवॉल्व होता रहता है, राइट? सो द question number four, the correct answer is it never ends. It keeps on evolving. What's also to remember is that see the way question has been framed, right? So it's basically a statement which he says, and that has been modified into a question with fill in the blanks, but yet again it has a single correct answer. Okay, so that is how questions can be framed in multiple ways, right? तो वो हमें इंश्योर करना है कि हम ready रहे, mentally prepared रहे, that the question can come from anywhere and we are prepared to address the question in that particular sense. Okay, let's get back to our set of questions. Okay, now coming on to okay, I think the mistake. Let me quickly correct it. It's five. It's five. All right. Coming on to the fifth question, as mentioned by Kumaresan in module number 10, the various types of prototyping are. प्रोटोटाइपिंग के कई प्रकार होते हैं और पूछा गया है कि इनमें से कौन से प्रकार हैं प्रोटोटाइपिंग के. आइडिया प्रोटोटाइपिंग, स्केल प्रोटोटाइपिंग, वर्किंग प्रोटोटाइपिंग और नैनो प्रोटोटाइपिंग. So you have to think and tell the various types of prototyping and as per module number 10. So that is the context and it is by Professor Kumaresan. कौन कौन से उन्होंने प्रोटोटाइपिंग बताई थी और उनमें से आपको यहाँ पे मल्टी सेलेक्ट करनी है. सो रिमेंबर इट्स अ मल्टी सेलेक्ट क्वेश्चन विच यू हैव टू रिस्पॉन्ड. Again, the context is Professor Tamarisa, and we are discussing about the various prototyping types. So he mentioned about different prototyping techniques, and you have to tell among the four of them what are the different prototyping methods he was referring to. It could be idea prototyping, it could be scale prototyping, working prototyping, or nano prototyping. Okay, so I think we've given enough time to discuss and ponder upon. So this is the screen validation, how it looks like. And it says there are three types of prototypes, which Professor Kumaresan has pointed out. And it starts with idea prototyping, which is about crude prototypes and quick and dirty prototypes. POC prototype, which is proof of concepts and bricks. Then you have scale prototypes, which are look-alike prototypes and mockups. It can be either one is to one. And then you have working prototypes. And these are functional prototypes and the used of pilot studies. Okay, so the correct answers are idea prototype, state prototype, and working prototype. Okay, so idea prototype, scale prototype, and working prototype. Well, the correct responses. Let's move to our sixth question. As mentioned by Miss Anamika Day, so she is again working with the Honeybee Network. Under Dash, small loans at very low interest rates were provided without any collateral. And if the innovators tried and failed, it was converted into grant. So the options are Market Venture Instant Fund, Macro Venture Instant Fund, Micro Venture Innovation Fund, and Mini Venture Intellectual Fund. So she's referring to one of the offerings of Honeybee Network, wherein they provided small loans at very low interest rates. Okay, so they were giving money and at very low interest rates. And the interesting feature was that no collaterals were, considered. And if the innovators tried and failed, it was converted into grant, which means that they don't have to return it back. ठीक है, तो वो कौन सा फंड था जिसके तहत वो बहुत ही कम इंटरेस्ट ब्याज दर पे लोन ऑफर करते थे, और अगर इनोवेटर ट्राई करता था, फेल हो जाता था, तो वो लोन ग्रांट में कन्वर्ट हो जाता था. सो यू हैव टू टेल अस द नेम ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर फंड टाइप, है ना? दैट फंड टाइप क्या था? So again, take some time, try to ponder upon the question, and I'll let you know the correct answers. So our question remains about the Honeybee network and the kind of funds they offer. The question says that, as mentioned by Ms. Anamika, under which type of fund do they offer small loans at a very low interest rate, which is बहुत ही कम ब्याज दर पे वो loans offer करते हैं, and without any collateral. So normally what happens when you take a loan from bank, they will have some kind of collaterals. So they'll be asking about the assets you have. It could be your home, it could be your vehicle. Okay. So basically the idea is that if you are unable to pay the loan, then they will might consider about taking over your house or your other assets, right? So that was how, the idea how loans work. But in this particular case, what they did was they created a type of fund in which they gave small loans at very low interest rates, right? And without any collateral. So there was no collateral that was asked for. And even if the innovators failed, they converted it into a grant, which means that they don't have to return it back, right? And it's very interesting, when she was mentioning about this particular thing, she told specifically about very common interest factor, which is the trust. So if you recall the lecture, she says that, these innovators, the only thing that they had was their innovation, which they open and wholeheartedly they had shared with the honeybee team, right? Uh, and that's the only thing they had. And they had shared it with their honeybee team. So it was the responsibility of the honeybee network that they also reciprocate and show the same kind of trust factor. All right. And they did it by launching this particular fund scheme, with the idea was to help these innovators with some kind of basic fund, nominal fund, which can help them translate their idea into some kind of a prototype or a working model. All right. And that's a fund which we are referring to. Anybody who has any opinions, what could be the right answer to this question? क्या हो सकता है इसका सही जवाब? All right. So the correct answer is micro venture innovation fund. Okay. Where the small loans are given at very low interest rates without any collateral or obligate. If the innovators tried and failed, it turns into a grant. Okay. So the answer is micro venture innovation fund. So it is option number C, which we are referring to, micro venture innovation fund. So please remember it, because a question might come under this particular aspect. And what you need to recall from this question is that it is about giving small loans at very low interest rates. All right. And without any, so these aspects are very critical in this. Okay, let me highlight it. Small loans, so we are not talking about big loans. Low interest rate, that is another aspect to this particular thing. Without any collateral, that is again an important aspect of these loans. And if they tried and it was converted into a grant. So there are many aspects to this particular micro venture innovation fund. Okay. तो क्वेश्चन किस कई एस्पेक्ट्स में पूछा जा सकता है ना. Just to give you an example, they might say that micro venture innovation fund uh, offers dash loans at dash interest rates. Okay, so it could be big, it could be varying loans, it could be हाई कैपेसिटी लोन्स, राइट? सो अगर हम फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स फॉर्म में सोचे तो क्वेश्चंस आपके कहीं किसी भी एस्पेक्ट में आ सकता है, ठीक है? सो टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस along with all its crucial aspects is very important, and these aspects include small loans, low interest rate, no collateral, and convert to grant if failed, ठीक है? सो ये सारे एस्पेक्ट्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और इनके अराउंड क्वेश्चंस बहुत आसानी से फ्रेम किया जा सकता है. All these options are very aspects are very critical, and a question can be framed very effectively on all these aspects. Okay, let's move ahead. Question number 7 says, according to module 10, Sri Mansukh Bhai Prajapati is associated with dash making clay products. So we are referring to Mansukh Bhai Prajapati जो कि क्ले प्रोडक्ट्स में काम करते हैं, और वो किस चीज से जुड़े हुए हैं? Is he associated with Fab India? Is it associated with Pretty Cool, the fruit juicer, or mixer brightware? इनमें से किस चीज से मनसुख भाई प्रजापति is associated with? So try to understand the question, take some time, absorb it, recall what you have gone through, learned through in the module wise content, and probably you will able to attempt the question very easily. थोड़ा सोचिए, इस पे विचार करिए. Again, the question is associated with Mansukh Bhai Prajapati, and here we are basically trying to understand his association in which of the following aspects, right? So I think we have. I think let's take a minute or more, and then we'll proceed with our. Okay. So I think we have taken enough time. If you see, the answer is Mitti Cool. That's the logo. And stories about Mr. Mansukh Bhai Prajapati. And just take a time to read it. It's very fascinating, and how they've managed it. He's a small town man with big dreams. True to his dreams, he's progressing well in on path. His dream child, Mitti Cool, is an attempt connecting the mankind more irrevocably with clay and soil. He's currently paving the way for Mitti Cool to go both national as well as international. Though some razor blade products can still be seen in some parts of the world, you know, his main memories. So he's from Wakaner, Gujarat, and is a successful entrepreneur who relished the idea of modernizing the knowledge that the craftsmen of this country carry. Okay, so he's a small town man with a great vision or a big vision. Okay. He's getting awarded by a prime minister. That time he was chief minister, and that's his range of products. So the smart refrigerator under the name of Mitti Cool. So the name is Mansubhai Prajapati, and he already has 18 to 20 outlets. Right? The correct answer is 80, right? I also need to remember the name because there is also Mansukh Bhai Patel, who worked on some cotton related device. So, no confusion now. इसके लिए the name and innovation needs to be very much sorted, segregated, and understood. Right? Let's come to our eighth question. According to Professor V.K. Chakraborty, why is there a need to learn systematic idea generation as discussed in module 10? प्रोफेसर चक्रवर्ती के अनुसार क्यों हमें एक सिस्टमेटिक आइडिया जनरेशन सीखने की आवश्यकता है एज पर मॉड्यूल 10, so that you do not miss any important concept, so that you do not miss any important idea, so that you don't miss any important feature of the final concept, so that you do not miss any important business pitch. So again, take some time to absorb the question, try to correlate with your understanding, and let me know what could be the right answer. इस पे थोड़ा सोचिए, समझिए, इसको विचारिए और बताइए कि क्या इसका सही जवाब हो सकता है. About referring to Professor Chakrabarty and why there is a need of systematic idea generation that needs to be learned as per module 10. Systematic idea generation. And why is there a need as per Professor Chakravarti? सिस्टमैटिक आइडिया जनरेशन क्यों जरूरी है सीखना? Yeah. I think we have given enough time. So what you see here is basically an exercise in which, Professor Chakravarti had given it for the design student to come up with a spoon design for different user personas, right? सबने एक एक persona लिया था. For example, this person took it for a 2 to 5 year old child, and he generated various ideas, and he started from clusters. और हर cluster से he was trying to make one idea which is representative of that cluster. ठीक है. So the idea still remains that you do not lose out on any feature when you are making your representative. Okay. And that representative may you start adding features from each of them so that your concept has an amalgamation of all these aspects, right? So the correct answer is so that you do not miss any important feature of the final concept. ठीक है, थोड़ा tricky question है because if you see the other options A and B, they are also quite close, but what you don't find is that the postfix, right, which says that in the final concept or of the final concept. यहाँ पे सिर्फ important concept और idea की बात हुई है, but वो कहाँ पे miss हो रहा है वो part is missing, right? So that is where option C is the correct answer. क्वेश्चन 9 पे आते हैं. अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रोफेसर अनिल गुप्ता, डैश इज अ नेसेसरी कंडीशन फॉर लर्निंग. सीखने के लिए एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कंडीशन है, एक स्थिति है. वो क्या है? सरप्राइज, सफरिंग, एक्सीडेंट एंड नन ऑफ द अबव. So again, take some time, ponder upon the content which you have seen in the week 10 module, and let me know what could be the right answer. So, dash is the necessary condition for learning. Surprise, suffering, accident, and none of the above. थोड़ा सोचिए, विचारिए इस पे क्या हो सकता है सही जवाब, एंड वी विल डिस्कस विद द स्क्रीन वैलिडेशन. Hazrat Gupta, आप समझ ही गए हैं. He is basically associated with the Honeybee network, along with various other organizations, including Gyan, Srishti, Shodhyatra, and IF, which is the National Innovation Foundation, and having been a critical role player in all these organizations. So he says that there is something which is very necessary condition for learning. Yes. All right, let's get back to our screen validation part. So the answer is surprise. It's a necessary condition for learning. The day you are not surprised, you are not lived. Always look for surprises. So very well said by Professor Anil Gupta. It is the surprise, which is the necessary condition for learning. All right. So with that, we conclude our second last question, and we are now approaching to our final question of the session today, which is question number 10. Question says, as mentioned by Professor Kumaresan in module 10, why is it important for designers to develop a prototype? Why is it important for designers to develop a prototype? Designers को prototype develop करना क्यों जरूरी है? Right? The options are to save time, money and effort, समय, पैसा और मेहनत. To communicate new ideas to people involved, to file for patents, and to prove new technology and business models. Okay, so समय पैसा मेहनत की बचत. So Professor Kumaresan in module 10, why is it important for designers to develop a prototype? Prototype develop करना क्यों आवश्यक है, क्यों जरूरी है? To save time, money and effort, to communicate new ideas to people involved, to fight for patents, or to prove new technology and business models. In this say, which one are the correct answers? So there are multiple correct answers in this, okay? Remember, we have a square option, which means there are multiple correct answers. So again, think for a while and let me know what could be the right answer. Again, this refers to the fact that you need to relate the content which has been offered, and accordingly you have to attempt the question. तो सोचिए विचारिए. We are finally at our last question, and we are trying to identify the answer of why it is important for designers to develop a prototype. प्रोटोटाइप डेवलप करना डिजाइनर्स के लिए क्यों आवश्यक. है Okay, let's come to the screen validation. So it says prototyping, it helps in saving time, money, and effort. It helps in proving radical concepts to technology and even business models. It helps to evaluate various aspects of design, and it helps to communicate new ideas to people involved. Right? So if you see the correct answers, it starts with saving time, money, and effort, communicating new ideas to the people involved, and proving new technology, even business models. So these are the correct responses. If you are thinking on these lines, you are very much on the right track. If not, these are the correct responses and it will help you understanding the further understand the question. Right. So with this particular question, we end our set of 10 questions. We'll see how much time we have left and accordingly we will yeah, so we have 6 minutes left. So, if there is any question, we can try to address it. Or what we'll do is, in the last 6 minutes, I'll just cover up the content recap part, so that we conclude our session on that note. All right. So we don't have any questions. So let's just try to finish up our remaining part. No, I believe my screen is visible. Just give me a minute. Let me check recording aspect. Yes, yes, it's we got it. Well, let's proceed with the content recap. So, as we mentioned, it's started with Professor Ashok Panwalkar, who is an IIT Bombay alumni. And as I mentioned, he worked with Philips for a very long time, and then he started working for the as a founder at 3F Design. And their vision was to make people happy, right? So this was the store which he referred to and which incorporated coming up with the wide range of quirky products, right? And the three F's of 3F design basically meant fun, form, and function. And that's how they have their website offering, in which they basically had a wide range of quirky products. Okay. This we have already discussed in reference to the various kinds of initiatives taken for the toy industry in reference to toy fair. If you remember, there was another contest, toy titled Toycathon, which was initiated by the government of India in terms of a decent push for Indian toys. So a lot of academic institutions were involved along with professionals, and they participated, and it was quite a success in itself. Then Professor Chakrabarti he discussed and presented the exercise on spoons, in which the students took up various analogies, direct as well as indirect analogies, to come up with the designs, and they came up with fantastic ideas and how they modeled with wireframe and using planar surfaces and then making with the actual foam material and deriving at the final designs. These are the standards of the final design. Then we have Professor Kumar Esan, who's again from the IDC School of Design, and he discussing about his proof of concept lab, the POC lab, whose main aim is to encourage students to work on physical prototypes. Right? So you can see there are so many options, iterations being happening. And this we also discussed that design never ends, it keeps on evolving. The example was iMac, and he says every evolution in the product is a journey, is a pit stop. Okay, so it is not an end, it's a pit stop. So again, a question can come from here as well, right? So this is again very, very important. And then you have brief mentions about NPD, new product development, and how the prototyping basically connects the design and the business spheres. and how it's very critical to it, because it acts as a communication tool, right? A prototype does not only mean a physical model, but anything that you simulate of the product. And then the various processes he mentioned about and how prototyping helps us effectively, and different types of prototyping and using additives, abstractive and forming methods along with obviously there is 3D printing which utilizes the additive method on itself. And he says that technology is not a barrier, it's more like a tool. And then comes Professor Anand Gupta from the Honeybee Network and Dr. Namika Dev, who is again associated with the Honeybee Network. Huh. And how they started their journey, and they've been voicing for the grassroots innovations, and mentioned that behaving like an entrepreneur is about taking a risk, looking at opportunities in other zones, sticking the neck out, and doing thinking differently. So these are the various organizations which he's associated with, and all of them are basically contributing to the grassroots innovation movement. And I think these were the slides which I personally like very much. That is Samvedana se Sritanshilta. From my own happiness, I try to reduce the pain of others and generate. Right? Very, very interesting. He explained the examples of autopices, liberty or design to improve with usage. समय के साथ कैसे improve हो सकता है regeneration, repair. And the question of surprise, we always looked at it. And now the innovators, the grassroots innovators, Mansukh Bhai Patel from the Mitti Cool. And then we also have Dharamveer ji, the Rishi Vishwas, and then he talked about the various patent and the Shodh Yatra. Now that's also very interesting. Uh, Visit hot places in summer and cold places in winter, going through the suffering of the inconvenience of the people so that we can empathize and understand the product. So that is the basic essence of empathizing, empathy. And during the Shodhyatra, they have four teachers, the teachers within each and every individual, the teacher among the peers, among the common people, and the nature, what all it teaches. Very interesting. Right. So this joint venture we were referring to, in COVID, they made a huge impact. They disposed around 50 to 60 lakh rupees, and they said that trust is the currency that should be encouraged. Very important critical aspect. Probably the banking sector needs to, you know, learn from it, I believe. And then they gave an example of how banana fiber is being utilized by an innovator, Murli, and how he's basically offering, work to so many women folk in their region. Okay, so that is how you actually measure the impact of any particular this thing setup. And with that, we have these discussion for a question. We have not added any new ones because these have already been discussed. So with that, we end our presentation. We come back to the session here. Right. So I'll stop sharing my screen. So now we will be ending the session. Thank you so much for joining in. All those who were able to join in and be a part of this particular session. And I hope we have a few more sessions remaining. Please be available so that you learn more, you perform more, and you absorb more. Okay. So with that, thanks a lot. Thank you so much.